Committee meeting to order. John, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by emailing a copy of the notice along with the agenda of this meeting to the Press of Atlantic City, Atlantic County Record, Record Journal, and current newspapers stating this meeting would take place at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, June 15th, 2015, in the municipal building, Mace Landing, New Jersey. Ms. Gatto?
Here.
Mr. Gouchard?
Present.
Mr. Kurtz?
Here.
Mrs. Link?
Here.
Mayor Silva?
Here. I'd like to take a moment for private reflection. First item on the agenda is adjourn to executive session. There'll be none this evening. There'll be no confirmation, addition or deletion of late items for consideration tonight.
Second.
A motion is second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Early public comment. Michael?
No one has signed up, Mayor.
Before I get into the next item on the agenda, Dorothy Gallagher, would you please stand up so I can introduce you? Dorothy is our new CFO. She came to us highly qualified, and we're very happy to have her on our team, and I'm sure she'll do a great job here as she's done in the other places where she worked. Dorothy, we welcome you.
Thank you.
Okay, first item on the agenda, discussions, formal action may be taken. A, ordinance amendment to Chapter 269 of the Township Code Taxation, creating Articles 2 and 3 to be respectively titled 5-Year Exemption Program for Construction in the Industrial Business Park Zone, and a 5-year exemption program for improvements in the Industrial Business Park Zone. Will be ordinance 1792, 2015, if introduced with a public hearing on July 6th. Bobby, did you want to just...
Yeah, I have some introductory remarks.
Thank you.
This came about initially through the recommendation of the Industrial Commission, and specifically in conjunction with their marketing agent, Tony Dio of Collier and Associates, because it was felt that the Industrial Commission, being the holder of lands in the park, was not able to compete with folks that had these programs in other towns, such as Pleasantville and Vineland and places like that. So a study was undertaken by a subcommittee of the Industrial Commission. They made a recommendation to the Commission. The Commission voted in favor of putting this proposal before this committee. This committee has been briefed and has authorized us to move forward with it. A formal ordinance has been drafted. It's lengthy. It, we believe, is consistent with the state statute. We took the final ordinance back to the Industrial Commission at their last meeting. There were some questions, which I'll share with you later. There were some concerns, but ultimately it was felt that of the majority present unanimously, that it represents a good document and they're recommending it to you. With that, I'd like to introduce you to my associate, Evan Labov.
Morning, evening,
Evan was, Evan, first thing you have to learn in this room is to talk into the mic or Mrs.
Yes.
Anderson will.
See the lady down the end there?
She will correct you.
Evan and I have spent a very considerable amount of time on this, and in doing so, we reviewed the ordinances of many other towns, some of which we felt were incomplete. So we put pen to paper, and it was a heavy lift, but we somewhat recreated the wheel to make a very complete document. One of the biggest concerns that the Industrial Commission has, and I want to express it because our chairman, Charlie Pritchard, is in the audience, was that in order to take advantage of this, you cannot be coming from a municipality which has declared in their own town areas of rehabilitation. And it's in the statute. There's no way around it. I won't say on the record how people might get around that, but it seems to me logistically there may be ways to do that. Historically, these ordinances, or excuse me, these laws started as an effort to keep businesses and enterprise in larger cities, to disincentivize them from leaving places like Newark and Patterson and Jersey City to go out where they could get tax advantages. And historically, that was the reason, and historically, that's why that vestige of legislative history is still there. What the ordinance does, I've explained it to you before, it provides an abatement on improvements, not land, starting in the first year at 100%, second year 80, third 60, fourth 40, and in the fifth year 20. So after 5 years, whatever the cost or the value of that improvement was, it becomes 100% assessed value. So that was the major concern that the Industrial Commission had with respect to bringing people in. We believe this is a valid, good document, and we believe that it will bring us maybe not up to where we want to be in terms of luring in folks that might come from a town that has these programs, but we leave it to their legal ingenuity to figure that out. So Evan is the drafter of this ordinance over my supervision, and I asked him to come here to answer any questions that you may have of us. So I throw that to the dais at this point.
Well, the first question I would ask is it readable?
I think for most municipalities.
And that was half in jest, but seriously, is it a
Understood.
document that we can read and reasonably understand? Because he mentioned how comprehensive it was, and I just hope it's readable.
I think comprehensive is important in this area in making sure that it is readable. Most ordinances in most municipalities, you'll look at them, a developer or business will say, I don't know what this means, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. They will go seek an attorney who will say the same thing and charge them to give them an answer they can't possibly give them reading the ordinance. This is an ordinance that I think most established businesses and developers will be able to read and execute. Taking this to an attorney will, I believe, almost guarantee proper execution. It lays out step by step what a developer needs to do in order to receive the abatements for either a new building or an improvement, and allows them to walk through the process, not having to guess at each step.
I'm a great person reading it, and I'm sticking with it pretty good. So it is very
Right.
clear, and you can tell you went about it from a process perspective, because the sections are laid out very nicely, and the timeframes are all very clear and concise in terms of how much time you have and what needs to be done within that time frame to move to the next step. So I think it's very readable.
Well, I haven't read it yet, but I will be.
Oh, I'm sure, but I'm going to just deviate from the norm, and since the chairman of the Industrial Commission is here, along with another one of its members, do either of you two gentlemen want to say anything?
I just want to compromise
Michael?
Story.
No, I think we
Come up to the mic if you're gonna not say something.
I'm not going to say it.
All right, well, how about this? How about this? I served on the Industrial Commission for 3 years before I sat on committee, and what he doesn't say, see that? Good.
No, basically, we had a really good meeting, and I think you did a great job. I think you did a really great job. I mean, we had our concerns, but as Bob pointed out, any smart lawyer knows ways around it. I wish we could do more. I think we need to compete. I think that, based on what's out there, what's available, this will at least get us in the game. and attract some businesses, which is what we want. Ultimately, we want to just be in the game and be able to get some activity going. And I think Tony said, I had a conversation with him, and he said, it's enough to at least get someone to come visit the park. So, I mean, if we could do more down the future, I think we have to approach it from the state. As I understand it, there's some rules or laws that have to change so that we could do more. And if that's possible, I'd like to see us pursue that.
When you say,
Yeah, what do you
No, go
mean
ahead.
by more?
I think that in terms of
My
the way that it reads, I think you have to, and again, this is me as a business owner, not as a commissioner. I know if it were me, the way I read it, I'd have to create a holdings company to really be able to take advantage of the benefits of the abatement, which is what I'm doing currently with my business. And typically what you do is you don't just, you create a separate entity to protect your business. So you create a holdings company. I don't know if you're following me on that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one way I would get around it, and I think that most businesses would. You want to protect the established business. So if there were a business that was looking to come to Mays Landing or to Hamilton Township, that would probably be the way around it. And I think it would be a creative way to at least take advantage of the abatement. But when I say more, I think that if we could be 100% 5 years, that'd be awesome. We have to be a little more aggressive. There's a lot of towns that are doing way more, including paying for some of it, in terms of giving them abatement for a longer period, 10 years. We're even seeing where there's communities doing 15 and 20 years, depending on how many jobs they create. So there's a lot of activity out there.
would you clarify for me, you said a way around it. What do you mean by that?
I guess I should choose my words wisely. The way it's written now, if, for example, my business, Anytime Fitness, I wanted to just move it here, take advantage of the abatement. I'm going to move it to the industrial park. And my business is currently under maximum investment, which is one of my companies. I wouldn't qualify. I'd have to create a holdings company to be able to take advantage of that, which is more paperwork on my end, my lawyers.
And that's because you're already established here.
Already established business.
Right.
So, but again, it's typical, so it's not, I guess I misspoke by getting around. It's typical of how businesses work anyway.
Yeah.
As you all know, I'm looking to open another gym. I'm already creating another holdings company just to protect my other entities. You have to create multiple layers of protection in this litigious world that we live in.
Careful now.
Be
We've
quiet.
got a couple lawyers in the room.
Michael, before you sit down, the question I would ask, and just related to the audience and to committee, how strong the broker of record felt about having a program like this, because constantly, when he gets people who are interested in an industrial park, what happens?
Well, let's just say he couldn't get many visitors, and I think he felt strong that this would at least entice some people to come visit us. So I think that without it, I don't think that we are going to be able to take any business from, I think, anywhere in South Jersey. I think that everyone else is doing it. Every township has some type of program in place, and we're like the lone wolf. And I think if we're going to grow and we're going to try to attract and become more of a pro-business town, we have to do this. There's no way around it.
Would you
Go ahead, Rodney.
Would you clarify what you mean when you say this would at least entice them to come?
Well,
That
because-
doesn't sound as progressive or whatever you want to use. Is that like you're, what else do we need? Is this not enough or?
I think we would have to possibly offer more. I mean, down the line, I think this is a great way to see. I think Tony said this is a fair way to at least get people to see if they're interested, even coming. And I think down the line, we should consider possibly offering more, up to
Well,
10 years.
I think the other part of the balance of the equation is closing the landfill. I think the excitement about the type of businesses that they want to put in that property that was being reclaimed. I think, I think once people see things happening, I'm pretty much excited about the landfill being closed because it'll create opportunity and jobs. The other part of it, I think there may even be some ancillary spin-offs too, where other businesses may want to relocate or locate into this area. So whatever you offer initially as an incentive, the rest of it can be negotiated through with the broker in terms of, what you don't get in an abatement, there's other ways to do things. And I'm not suggesting it's anything other than everything above the board,
And I
okay?
think Tony knows that, so I think when I say I think this is a great start, I think this is, listen, and again, as a business owner, people don't realize how difficult it is just to get the lights on, just to get the doors open, the process, I mean, just an engineering cost. And, I mean, I have a project that I'm involved in now. I'm a couple grand in the hole, and I don't even own the property, just with the engineers, the lawyers, and everything else. So I think in terms of getting investors who are possibly interested in investing in our town, to at least get the ball rolling and get some activity going. So I think as a township, if we can't even get them to come visit our town because we're not offering anything, how could we possibly, get some activity going? Activity breeds activity. I think Tony says this is a great first start. And I think down the line, if we see we can do more, this is something that maybe we can present to the committee. And hopefully you guys will see that, I think our intentions are in the right place. This is a good step one. So, and he did a great job. I mean, like I said, as a business owner, I wish I saw more, and we can do a lot. But I think this is a great first start. So.
But,
And I hope you all consider it and move with it.
we will. Let's
Yeah,
just, go ahead, Jim.
I think that also these businesses that are going to locate here have to be comfortable with that we are going to encourage them and work with them, and, not at the end of the day say, well, you don't qualify. Now, that might happen with a lot of businesses, but we have to, do that which encourages them to go through those processes, just like you said, and not at the end of the day be turned off.
Right. Well,
So that's a very important element, because we've turned a lot of things off here in this township. And when you begin to turn off a lot of things, different things, people hesitate to put out a ton of money in order to get a no.
Great. And I think, Judy, just to piggyback, and you're a business owner, and I know you know, I also, I'm the vice president of the Merchant Association, and in talking with other business owners, most would think, well, a lot of businesses would probably oppose something like this. I didn't get an abatement, you would think that's the theme. But I think a lot of us, and this is kind of how I sold the group on the merchant side, is activity, these folks, if we can potentially create some jobs, these folks are going to need somewhere to live. They're going to need dry cleaning. They're going to need a gym. They're going to need the road. I mean, I think we can all benefit from the growth of the town. And again, if we can get some of these companies to move here and create jobs, I think down the line we'll all benefit from it.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Ultimately, to get
go
some
ahead.
good residents to move here. It's a great town. I moved here 12 years ago.
Go ahead.
So.
Good. Ed.
I do have one specific question. Are all these blocks of land, are they owned by by Hamilton Township, or are there other
No.
ones that are listed?
They're not all owned by Hamilton Township.
Oh, okay,
They're all
so,
the properties in the industrial business zone.
okay,
Some of them, most of them, the vast majority of them are in the park.
okay,
There are several that are not.
okay.
In addition to enticing companies to move here, it entices those companies that are here to add on, to construct, and it provides them with the abatement with respect to the value of the new additions. The other thing I would throw out to you is that, and Evan studied this much more closely than I did, but there were several bills. And at some point around 1997, does that sound right, Evan? They were all consolidated.
1992 was the year the bill was passed.
It seems to me that if they grew out of the sense of protecting businesses from leaving the city, that may no longer be appropriate. And it seems to me that if 20 of the 23 municipalities in Atlantic County have this, that original incentive has become a disincentive. And it seems to me that maybe somebody in the legislature should be looking at this with an eye toward making it, maybe eliminating that provision. Because frankly, when you look at the ordinances of many of the other towns, they don't even reference it. I don't know whether they enforce it, but somebody could. Some taxpayer could.
Amy?
Yeah, just a couple of things. One question that I had for Bob was around the application fee, because we talk a lot about the cost of doing business when you're trying to start a business and, fees, escrows, things like that. Just how does that application fee compare to other comparable towns? I think you said it was on the lower side, but I just want to clarify
Evan, do you
that.
know?
There are two separate application fees.
Okay.
There's an application fee for improvements and a separate application fee for what would be termed new construction, which is actual new construction or improvements that increase the volume of a building by more than 30%.
Right.
Where there's that large increase or an entirely new building, it's a much more comprehensive application. The applicant will actually submit a large packet of documents that will come before this committee after being reviewed by the tax assessor. So it's really voluminous.
Right.
And that's $250, and I think it compares pretty favorably in terms of what you see in other ordinances. It's around the norm.
Okay.
The other application fee is, I believe, $50. I'd have to double check in here,
Yeah.
but it's
I was concerned about the 250.
it's quite small.
Yeah.
It's a one-page form, more or less, that's got to be reviewed for completeness. It does come before this committee, but it should be a very relatively straightforward application.
And I'm sorry, I just have one more, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bob, again, I asked you this, and I think we have the flexibility with the ordinance to, if we see success with it, be able to apply it elsewhere, potentially in the township.
Always, as long as you declare it in need of rehabilitation.
Exactly. And then, in terms of the flexibility with the terms, like Mike was mentioning, if we decide we want to go to 10 years, it looks like we just would modify that area that kind of defines the length.
You'd have
See,
to,
I'm just saying, it seems like we have flexibility to change the program as we move along.
you do, it would require some fact findings, some, bases for doing so. I mean, I know from watching television that New York has a 10-year plan, And if you found that a particular area would be amenable to that, you could visit that. Once declared in need of an area in need of rehabilitation, then the same steps would apply that we applied here. So yeah, there is always flexibility to do that
Great.
in other areas and in this area.
Perfect. Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, my question was, that there are property owners out there now with current approvals that have been through the approval process. And when I was reading through it, how does this affect some of the businesses that are, as far as getting the tax abatement, that are already, just haven't put a shovel in the ground yet, but are working?
All the improvements are in.
In terms of whether they can now apply for an abatement?
Yes.
There's no reason they couldn't. I believe we asked that they start for a new building, that it be done before construction, so that the abatement process becomes part of that pre-construction approval process. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they can't.
Okay.
And frankly, that's pretty much the stage at which I think most applicants will end up seeking an approval is, we've got our land use approvals, we've got our site plan, whatever you have to get done, let's now go and see if we can get this abatement. And that's got a dual purpose. One, it gives them some certainty, but
Right.
they've already done enough of the process that maybe they're potentially invested on it,
Yeah.
whether or not the township says, wait a minute, there's an issue here.
Right.
That's good, thank you.
Rodney?
Yeah, like you sat down before, I had another, but that's all right. It's actually for you and for Charlie. And that is, I just want to request that you continue to communicate with us. If you come up with ideas of the things that we need to address, feel free to talk about it. Some time ago, we were going to put together a group with the Lieutenant Governor, actually. She came here. And, we talked about finding ways to make it more business-friendly environment. I'm not sure how far that went, but
Yeah, I was at the meeting with you. And
yes,
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mike.
that's right.
Yes,
Right,
it
well,
was,
we shouldn't forget that, we ought
I
to,
agree, and
Yeah.
we should take her up on that. Once, we get some momentum, let's invite her back down. I'm open to that.
Well, I'll assure you that the members of the Industrial Commission are not shy. They know how to pick up the phone.
Thanks,
Okay.
thanks, Roger.
So what's your pleasure, committee?
I definitely make a motion to introduce.
I'll second it.
I
second.
have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for all the
And
work
thank
on
you
that.
both.
Yeah, thank you.
Evan, you may feel free to leave. Evan has 2 little infants at home.
Oh, God bless you.
I'm sure they're way more entertaining than we are.
Now the work, what are you talking about?
See
Now the work
circles under
begins.
his eyes.
Everybody have a lovely evening.
Take care, Evan. Thank
Thanks,
you
Evan.
again. Okay, next item on the agenda is authorized filing for a declaratory judgment in the Hamilton Township Affordable Housing Plan is presumptively valid. Bob?
Well, this was the advice of our COA attorney, Stephen Eisdorf. It's very encouraging based on the numbers that we saw coming out of COA. It is a protective feature and one which will allow a judicial decree that we are currently in compliance, at least so far as the last round of requirements are concerned. For the folks in the audience, it's a procedural, if I may, Mr. Mayor.
Please, Bob.
It's a very, very complicated situation. The Council on Affordable Housing and the courts have set forth requirements for low and moderate and middle-income housing in Hamilton Township, and the next round has come out. Regulations have come out. By filing what's called a declaratory judgment action, we can have a court decree that we are in compliance, and what that does is saves the township from any exposure on a builder's remedy suit. Builder's remedy suit is where a company comes in and says, we want to put in 400 low-income houses. You're not at your number. You have to give it to us, or we're going to sue you on a builder's remedy suit, which comes out of the Mount Laurel decision of the Supreme Court. Mr. Eisdorfer is an attorney that the township has retained. He's an expert in this area. This is his recommendation. It is my recommendation. Anytime you can preserve yourself from a suit as large as a builder's remedy suit, which costs potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars, you do so. So I would just reiterate to the Township Committee the comments that were made in the executive session with respect to that. Obviously, I can't put them on.
I understand. Committee, what's your pleasure?
I'll motion to authorize, to make this authorization.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mrs. Anderson, can we have a voice roll call, please?
Sure. Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gouchard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Item C, proposed ordinance amending Exhibit A, Section 1, Article 2 of Chapter 66 of the Township Code will be ordinance 1793, 2015, if introduced with a public hearing on July 6, 2015. Michael?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, this ordinance does two things. The first is it creates a new position, a temporary full-time position in Public Works. We have a lot of employees that are out on injury. And the second thing it does, it codifies an administrative assistance position that we already approved. So those are the two things it does.
What's your pleasure, committee?
I'd like to move to accept the proposed ordinance.
Second.
A motion is second. Any questions or comments?
This is a motion to introduce it.
That's all.
Yeah,
Ms.
All those in
Ga-
favor?
okay.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item 6, authorize the purchase of one 2015 Jeep Patriot four-wheel drive vehicle from Hederich Fleet Services, Inc., Milford, Delaware, at $19,211.50 under State Contract A 83011, funding from 2015 Code Enforcement budget.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? Mrs. Anderson, voice roll call, please.
Ms. Gatto?
As this was part of our planned budget purchases, yes.
Mhm.
Mr. Gouchard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. 7, accept the design collaborative proposal dated June 8, 2015, to provide architectural services for Town Hall ADA improvement at a cost not to exceed $8,000. Michael, go ahead.
Yes, sir. The township has already, or committee has already approved doing some ADA improvements around the building, a ramp, the power doors and different things. We can't use the CDBG money for engineering or for architectural design, so this is coming out of the bond for miscellaneous building improvements.
Okay.
And these are required. This is being
Yes.
built to meet our ADA requirements.
Yeah, to be ABA compliant, yes.
Michael, could you explain how the improvements are going to be? Is there going to be a different entrance, or how is that?
In the
gonna-
back,
In
there's
the
going to be a
back?
ramp in the back. We already have a ramp in the front.
Okay,
My understanding is the doors on the front of the building will open under power. In other words, you'll be able to push a button
push a button.
and get them to open. And then there's a ramp scheduled for over here on the dais. And there's probably a couple other improvements I'm missing, but because Phil put this together, and
Judy, that's why initially, when they did the parking lot across the street, you saw those handicap spaces along the back of the building.
Mhm.
Initially, that was laid out at that time, knowing full well that we would have to address this and work through it, so.
Yes, I
Yeah.
understand it's Plan A and Plan B and, a follow-up. But I was looking at the diagram and I just didn't understand it, so.
Does this meet all of our ADA requirements now
you,
for the building?
probably could never answer that question, yes. Yes.
You can never answer the
Because-
question.
Well, no, you can never answer that question, yes, because a little bit of settlement takes you out, and the concrete would take you out of compliance, so there's always a lot of improvements you can do for ADA. You can constantly upgrade.
Are
And we
there
can-
any improvements in other township properties that are needed to meet ADA requirements?
I'm
Yeah.
sure the answer is yes.
We've done some of them out at the recreational fields,
We've
and
done quite a bit. We built a whole
I know you have.
park, for it.
I'm sure over time, Rodney, he's right, there's always something, so.
Make a motion to accept the design
Second.
collaborative proposal?
Second,
A motion is second. Any questions or comments? Could we have a roll call, Mrs. Anderson?
Ms. Gatto,
Yes.
Mr. Gouchard.
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz. Mrs. Link,
yes.
Mayor Silver.
Yes.
All yes and
Thank you.
carried.
8, accept Remington and Vernick's proposal dated June the 3rd, 2015 for supplemental work for the 2015 road program at a cost not to exceed $7,700. Mike?
Yes, sir. The proposal is to add on speed tables on Pinehurst and to striping on Dennis Foreman Drive and
Then meet.
Denmead.
Correct.
You're right.
The Board of Education, or actually the superintendent asked for the improvements, for the striping, so we're trying
Do
to
you
help
have any
them.
idea, Bob, when those speed tables, once you're finished, the proposal for this, got the time frame for the speed bumps or the speed tables?
We would bid everything out as part of the road program, so it would all be constructed
So
at
it'll
the
be in
same-
the road program?
Correct.
Okay.
Could you explain speed tables as opposed to, speed bumps, so to speak?
Basically, it's a slope up to a flat area and then a slope back down again.
Yeah, it sounds like a table.
Yeah,
Rather than
it's a-
just,
it's a
rather than
traffic-
just a hump, right?
Correct.
But
It's a traffic
you're
calming.
able to do that before, actually speed bumps, you weren't allowed to put them on a,
No, this is actually a speed table. It's a traffic calming measure.
good.
And we add, this is in response to the residents' concerns about the
Correct.
traffic in that area.
Right. It started, they put the stop sign up, and I think
Right.
this was the second phase of trying to continue with not only the awareness, but the calming.
We had also done some striping a while back, Mayor, where we striped the shoulder lanes, and we also double yellow center line striped. And that, basically, the narrowing of the lanes is basically a traffic calming measure also. But I believe that after those improvements were completed, I think they did another speed study, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the actual 85th percentile speed increased.
It increased.
So this is an additional measure in order to try to calm traffic in that area. Is that correct, Chief, that the? That's correct. Yeah, the 85th percentile speed actually
It's interesting.
increased, correct.
Was that an increase because of the new lining?
It's hard to tell, Mr. Gouchard. I can't see whereas it would be a direct result of the striping, because again, what it's supposed to do, there's supposed to be a traffic calming measure, the striping. Just could be a different time of the year. It's hard to tell.
I like to say, you can't fix stupid.
That's very good.
We
You
do-
can say that.
We deal
I
with it
can't.
on Hickory Street. I see Dominic out there dealing with it on Pinehurst. We try to put up as many signs, lines, fluorescent things as much as possible. At the end of the day, people are just stupid and speed in a neighborhood where kids are running around, and
No,
I
it's
don't
true.
know how we fix that.
Well, we keep working at it. Okay. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to accept the proposal.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Mrs. Anderson, can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Gatto,
Yes.
Mr. Gishard,
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz. Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mayor Silva.
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Okay, the consent agenda, I want to just pull out E.
You want to pull out F as well?
E. I want you to talk about it, Bob.
Pull out F for
Yeah.
John.
Yes, John, you want me to pull it out?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, and we'll pull it out. Okay, go ahead.
Make a motion for consent agenda 9A through D plus G through K.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. E, authorize the township solicitor to put Bank of America on notice and institute a suit regarding the irrevocable letter of credit, and I will repeat the number, performance guarantee for Toys R Us expansion project, and authorize the township engineer to do inspection of the property and prepare an updated site improvement punch list. Bob?
Yeah, we can't tell from reading the bond itself whether it's a performance bond or a maintenance bond. Bob and I have discussed it, but given the value of the bond, it seems more likely that it's a maintenance bond. But it doesn't matter for purposes of my opinion to you. In a normal course where either performance or maintenance is protected and preserved through a bond, the only way that bond can be extinguished is by a resolution of the governing body, in most cases. A letter of credit is quite different. A letter of credit has a finite term. And in this particular case, the letter of credit was issued on a year-to-year basis. And it was initially issued in 2007 for sidewalk curbing and the like at Toys R Us. And there was a punch list, and there still is a punch list. I've asked Bob Smith to take a ride out there and look at it, and from his observation, some of those items still remain either deteriorated or incomplete. We received a letter last month from Bank of America, who issued the letter of credit, that they're exercising their option not to renew it, and it will expire on August the 4th. Unlike a bond, if the letter of credit expires without notice and action being taken during the period of it, you may lose your protection. So I provided to you a attorney-client privileged opinion with respect to that, and I am asking you to consider, at this point, authorizing me to put the bank on notice, and if it's not resolved on or before the termination date, that you authorize me to institute suit.
Will this stop it?
It will preserve your rights
Oh,
under.
Okay. Okay. Committee, have any questions? What's your pleasure?
Motion to authorize
I'll second.
as listed.
Okay, any questions or comments? Mrs. Anderson, I want a roll call on this one.
Ms. Gatto,
Yes.
Mr. Gishard.
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mayor Silva.
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Okay, we
Make a
pulled,
motion
okay.
To approve 9F.
I'll read it. Approve Mays Landing Merchants Association request for a waiver of the electrical inspection fees for its hometown celebration at Lake Lenape on June 27 and 28, 2015. We have a motion.
Second?
A motion is second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain? Okay, thank you.
And you're abstaining because you're a member of the Merchant Association Board, right, John?
That's correct.
Thank you, Joan. 10, personnel. Increase the hourly rate for pay for Class 2 special officers Arthur Tran, Robert McRae, Brady, from $14.38 to $19 per hour effective June 8, 2015.
Make a motion as this is in accordance with our recent hourly rate change in an attempt to reduce turnover in the Class 2 department.
I'll second it.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You need a roll call? Roll call.
Money.
Ms. Gatto,
Yes.
Mr. Gouchard,
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mayor Silva.
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. B, appoint Robert Stevens and Danielle Hunter, part-time communication officers, $15 per hour, effective June 16, 2015.
So moved.
I'll second
Second.
it. Second, Rodney. Okay. Any questions or comments? Roll call, Mrs. Anderson.
Ms. Gatto,
Yes.
Mr. Gouchard.
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
and Mayor Silva.
Yes.
All yes and
Thank you.
carried.
C, transfer Samantha R. Smith from part-time police records clerk to full-time communications officer at $37,541.95, effective June the 22nd, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Questions or comments?
Just stating all of this is filling vacant positions.
Correct.
And things that are opening up as a result of moving people up. We're going to fill those as well.
Roll call, Mrs. Anderson.
Ms. Gatto,
Yes.
Mr. Gouchard.
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mayor Silva.
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. D, authorize posting or advertising for one part-time police records clerk.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. E, appoint Anton Brown, a part-time regular housing inspector at $20 per hour, effective to be determined. Effective date.
Well,
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Roll call, Mrs. Anderson.
Ms. Gatto,
Yes.
Mr. Gouchard.
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
yes.
Mayor Silva.
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. 10F, authorize in-house posting and advertising for a full-time administrative assistant in the Township Clerk's office.
I believe this is as a result of a recent resignation.
Yes, it is.
Second.
Motion
Second.
is second. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bobby, on the approvals, you can take them one at a time, or can I bunch some of them by date? Okay. Approvals.
If you were not present at that, would you just alert me to that?
Okay. A, June 1, 2015, regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
I'll second it. Motion is second. Any questions or comments? Can I go all in favor? You need a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Abstain. Wasn't present.
Okay.
I wasn't present, so I'm abstaining.
All right. June 1, 2015, executive session minutes. I'll make a motion.
Second.
And a second. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, so it's 4-1, Bob.
4-0.
Yes,
yeah,
4-0. Yep. April the 20th, 2015, regular meeting
So
minutes.
moved.
Second.
Motion
Second.
is second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. April 20th, 2015, executive session.
So moved.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. E, May 14th, 2015, special meeting.
So moved.
I'll second it. Questions or comments? All those in
Oh,
favor?
this was
Yeah,
the,
this was the hiring one, wasn't it?
Yeah. I wasn't here.
And Rodney
Rodney
weren't.
weren't.
that's right, yeah.
I'll second it.
Right,
Three of you can go.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You're abstaining.
Abstains?
They abstain.
Abstain.
Yeah, I'm staying.
Okay, good. May 18th, executive session.
I thought he
So moved.
voted, so.
I'll second it. Motion is second. Any questions?
Wait. May 14th executive.
We did that, didn't we? No,
just
special.
did May
Yeah, May
14th
14,
special.
2015, executive session.
So
You had a
moved.
motion, I seconded it. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
They
Abstain.
abstain.
2 abstentions, 3 carries.
Got it. May 18, 2015, executive session.
So moved.
I'll second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Payroll and bills totaling $607,522.02.
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Questions or comments? Roll call, Mrs. Anderson.
Ms. Gatto,
Yes.
Mr. Gashard.
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz,
Yes.
Mrs. Link,
Yes.
Mayor Silva.
Yes,
All yes and carry.
thank you.
Just to clarify, because there was just a question up here, Mr. Sandman. So when you say to somebody that they can't vote, that really means they have to abstain from the vote, not say anything.
That is correct.
Okay.
Reports, Mr. Administrator.
Mr. Mayor, just two things, and I apologize for the first one. 9K, I wanted to ask that we add language to the end of that, the timing to be determined, because some of the signature cards take a day or two, some take a week or two.
Okay.
Can I just,
I'll amend my motion.
First motion has to be remove 9K from the last consent agenda vote.
Make a motion to remove 9K from the last consent agenda vote.
I'll second it. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Now you may add an amendment and move it.
Make a motion to
What's the
move
amendment?
the item with the amendment that the time is to be determined.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Good.
I apologize, thank you.
We forgive you.
Thank you. The other thing I just want to say, what a outstanding article in the paper this weekend about Officer Shalik. I don't know if hopefully you all saw that, but what an outstanding reflection on himself and on our police department. I thought it was great.
You know what was interesting about it? Normally, the press doesn't put positive things on a front page like that, and to take a story like this, which was so heartwarming and touching, and put it on the front page was outstanding, especially in light of all the negative things that have been going on about police force and individuals today. I think when you look at the caliber of the personnel that you have in your department, Chief, they're second to none. So we thank you for the work that they all do and you do to continue to keep them that way.
For those who didn't read the article, Detective Shalik was highlighted he's our juvenile detective officer, and has really taken 3 young men under his wings who he came across in a troublesome situation and was able to turn around into really positive things, all 3 of them going to college with scholarships, and all 3 of them attributing a lot of their success to Detective Shalik and his efforts. I believe all 3 of them were coming from single mother homes. So Frank was really serving as that male presence for these guys. And former Mayor Percy, I think, put it very well when I was discussing it with him. You know, one guy made 3 good guys. What happens when those 3 good guys make 3 more good guys each? We just have this exponential effect of good spreading, all because of one guy, our guy, Frank Shalik. And I just think it's really great. I know a lot of our officers step up in that way as well. But it was a pretty profound article, so I was really proud.
What date was that?
Saturday.
Saturday?
Would you pass on to him that our congratulations for the work that he does and continues to do? I know he's not one that accepts praise or anything because he just goes about doing his work. But please, tell him how pleased we are.
The 13th?
Thank you.
Didn't open that paper yet.
Okay, Mr. Solicitor,
I have nothing to add.
thank you. Mr. Engineer.
Good evening, Mayor. Just as a follow-up to let the Township Committee know that we're working on the road program. Excuse me. We waiting to receive back some utility markups from the various utility companies. We like to let them know in advance which roadways we're going to be working on. We try to give them as much advance notice as possible. And then when we submit the plans for bid, we try to include as much utility information on them as possible. So we're waiting for some feedback on that. I know that, for example, Park Road, they obviously replaced the water main and we got some information from the MUA with regard to the new location of the water main, and they'd also done some gas work out on Park Road. They installed a new main in the shoulder on Park Road, so we're waiting for that information. But we're continuing with the design for not only Park Road, but the entire road program, because we talk about them separately, but it's essentially it's one project. It's all going to bid as part of the 2015 road program, along with what Township Committee authorized this evening, which is the striping and the addition of the speed tables. So we're making progress with that. Also, just a heads up on Malaga Road, we sent out the utility maps, or the base maps to the utility companies for markup today. So we're going to try to push both of those to try to get them advertised at the same time, so we have both projects out at the same time. But once we figure out more accurate construction cost estimates, we'll come back to Township Committee and let them know if we're going to be able to do all of the roadways that were selected as part of the road program, or if we're going to have to go out and do some alternates to make sure that we're able to award the base bid.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So how many roads does that involve?
I think that there are 7,
Up in,
including Park Road, 8, I believe, was the total number of roadways. No, but obviously it doesn't include the striping and the speed tables on the other roadways. There's just reconstruction roadways.
Hopefully 7.
Hopefully, it's all going
Obviously,
to,
whatever
it's all going to be
comes back,
determined
right.
on the cost estimates we come back with, and also once we finalize the cost estimate for Park Road. So yes, it's always going to be budget and funding dependent.
Are you aware, did the MUA release the final payment on the shoddy replacement work?
To be honest, Ms. Gatto, I do not know. I'm not sure if the mayor has met with anyone, but we had talked about doing.
but if you just permit me to digress, committee,
Sure.
there's a member or two. Do either one of you know whether they released, Jenny, the release Park?
To my knowledge, it's been,
It has been.
to the best of my knowledge. Now, I don't
The
have
engineer-
confirmation of that, but I can confirm that for you.
No,
It was-
I have an email. I have a call into Steve. I know he's out of town, but he acknowledged my email. He'll get back to me.
It was my understanding that we intended to do a drive-through or a walk-through.
Well, the walk's not going to do nothing. The ride-through will just make you lose your religion. It's that bad. It's still that bad. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Correct, Judy?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. The fellow that came and testified about his back, he had surgery and it's twice as bad. So
Thank
I
you.
don't even think, I haven't even seen him move out of the driveway with his wife. So that was, oh my goodness. But at any rate,
Thank you.
Mr. Kurtz, did you have a question, sir?
I did, I was curious on gas applications. Are there many applications that still out there that, for opening the road, that could hold this up?
On the roadways that we've
Yes.
scheduled, no, we've given the utility companies ample notice. I think what the impetus for Park Road gas was that we gave them a lot of notice, because it was originally discussed several years ago, and then the MUA came in and did their job, so Gas Company came in and did the work that they had intended on doing on Park Road, so that they would be out of our way, because obviously, once the roadway is reconstructed, we institute a 3-year moratorium, and they can only get a permit if it's an emergency.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
Are these, just one more question, these gas requests, so this gas work that's being done, is this something that's, is this a peak phenomenon, or is this something that's pretty much at a continuous level? I mean, is it a result of the price of gas coming down so much? And
Mr. Gashard, the majority of openings we've had over the past several years were 4x4 openings for gas services to homes, emergency openings for gas leaks. But the gas company has been making an effort to replace a lot of the old steel mains all over the place. We're the municipal engineer in Margate, and I know there's extensive gas main replacement going on there. And I think you'll probably see some additional main replacement. We just approved some permits actually very recently for Peach Street for some main replacement. They were doing some main replacement on Oak and Columbia. Obviously, they done the main replacement on Park Road. But I think you may continue to see some additional main replacements taking place. But in the past, like I said, the majority of the openings were an emergency opening for a leak or a service. But what you should also see is as they go through the main replacement process, you should see less emergency openings because they're replacing a lot of this old bare steel main.
And how much of a warning do we get for, what are their plans, for example? Do we get, are we told 2-3 years in advance of where they plan to go next? Or?
It's kind of vice versa, Mr. Gishard. They want us to tell them when we're doing our work, and that potentially will accelerate their process to get the utility work done in advance of us doing the roadway reconstruction. We get very little, if any. I'll get a call from the clerk's office that their permit is there, and they make application to do the work. We take a look to make sure the roadway's not under a moratorium. If it's not, we'll issue the permit.
I would say the gas company has been probably one of our better partners, at least the time I've been on committee. They've been very proactive in reaching out, not only in terms of, okay, what's on your list because we want to be a good partner, but also what else can we do in the community? You know, do you have other projects going on that we can help support in some community engagement way? So I think they've been pretty good about it, more so than other entities that we interact with.
But apparently they're not telling us, they're not giving us a schedule for the future. I don't know whether that's
No.
because
That's
it's
what I'm
not
saying,
possible.
though.
Or-
They're letting us drive their schedule.
Yeah, I don't think that their schedule impacts us. Actually, our schedule impacts them. We're the driving force to, I guess, some of these projects. But we try to let them know again as far in advance as
Okay,
possible
very
so
good.
they have ample notice to get their work
Long as
done.
an emergency is not an excuse to do work in the street.
No comment, Mayor.
Well, you know, I'm familiar with that over the years, and that was been one of my beefs about it, okay?
What is an emergency, right?
Thank you, Bob, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Bob, I have another question.
Certainly.
I know that Mill Street is a county street.
Correct.
Okay, and a lot of people think that it's a township street. But I noticed that there was some reconstruction there. Am I not?
Correct. The MUA did a very deep sewer main replacement in that area, and they replaced some of the curb and some of the sidewalk, and they base paved the roadway. And that was left for a period of time to settle, and I think probably 2 weeks or so ago, the contractor came back and milled and repaved the roadway. I'll admit I have not been on that section of roadway yet, but I know the work was done.
Yeah,
It's much-
it was
much better now.
a huge dip before when, yeah. So that was
smooth.
great.
We wish they did it on Park Road.
What's that?
Different utility, Mayor.
I know. Okay, thank you. Committee comments, John?
Yes, under special events, I'd just like to remind everyone about our hometown celebration. This is coming up in 2 weeks. A lot of great things going on. I hope Arlene has a report on that tonight. That would be nice. But
No pressure.
no pressure. But it's a lot of planning and a lot of things going on to make it a very special event, and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Rod?
Yeah, I just like to, well, I attended recently, we had a green team meeting, and I just want to let people know that there are a lot of exciting things going on with the green team. And we had a few additional members. I certainly encourage anybody who's interested to come out to the team meetings. But some of the things going on, we have a community farm. We're working with with Davies to set that up this winter. Want to see how well that goes, and we may expand that if there's sufficient interest. There are some TED Talks that are being scheduled for the library, and that should be very interesting. There are sustainability type topics where there was a an all-day sustainability conference this week, which we had a couple of people attend. And I wanted to attend myself, but I couldn't. But it just covered a whole range of things, and I'm looking forward to hear what they learned on that. Some of the other interesting things we're doing, working to recycle food, and hopefully that can be for the benefit of some of the farmers here, or at least one farmer, and also a cheaper way for the schools and other institutions that have surplus food to dispose of it. So that's very exciting, at least I think it is. And there are a bunch of other things that are going on. So I want to commend our township folks, and including Ingrid Perez, for the work they've done in that area. On July 1st, I just want to remind everyone that there will be an awards ceremony in the mall. There'll also be a display of quilts. The award is going to go to Lou Green, who's a veteran and who has for, 13 years or so, been in the mall once a month with tables providing all kinds of information to, over the years, there's probably been thousands of veterans. And his services have been recognized. There'll be all of the county level veterans groups will be there. There's going to be a display of quilts. The honor is going to be a Quilt of Valor. That organization provides quilts to people who they think are worthy. And so that'll be going on in the mall. There's also going to be a theme in the mall for the weekend, for the July 4th weekend. So I would encourage, I think July 1st, about 11 o'clock is when it's going to start. There should be news, press there, so I would encourage everyone who can to attend. I attended, and I think the other committee members attended a barbecue on Saturday. This is the Cologne barbecue, and yeah, it was a great event. It was well participated, and it was a great day. And of course, we had an opportunity again to look at that fire truck, which is very impressive, and which they are and which they are very proud of.
In fact, the chief was telling us that day that it's so new, that truck, that they've been invited to the convention in Wildwood so other people can see it, especially with the lighting and everything else there. It's something they haven't seen in a long time, so I think they'll come to committee and ask us for permission, but I'm sure, we will let them go, but considering,
And we told them they had to put Mays Landing clearly on there, so that's good. I think that's all I had. I attended graduation also, and again, that went very well. We had at least one Harvard person who was the valedictorian also, but his speech and the salutatorian speech, they were both great speeches, and it went very well. That's all I have.
Well, thank you. Judy?
I was going to say they could not demonstrate the lighting system on the fire truck for, Cologne, as, because it was light out and but they offered to come and show it in the dark and show all the lighting. So I think that would be something for our township to see, because the lighting that they have, which is a lot of LEDs, will definitely slow people down. Maybe we need it on, what is it, Pinehurst? Okay, slow people down, because, that's one of the big things that people don't pull over, appropriately for these fire engines, and it delays their, delays them from getting to where they have to go. So I was, very interested in that. And of course, they're not going to be, replaced anytime soon. Those lights, LED lights, it takes about 15 years or whatever compared to your regular lights. So you're saving a lot of money also. All right, that was one thing. In relationship to the, the hometown celebration, we would like to invite whoever is listening to register their pooch for the Pooch Parade. We hope that we're going to have a lot more entries this year. We do have it on the website. So just go to the website and enter your pooch if you would like to do that. There was one other thing that I attended the Mays Landing Merchants meeting last Wednesday, and our county executive, Dennis Levinson, was there to speak. And there was a lot in his presentation, but what I sort of focused on was what are they going to do with the lighthouse? Because that has been a question that I have really tried to find out where it's on the plan to renovate the lighthouse. Because every time I go to the hometown celebration as an elected official, people ask me, why is that lighthouse so dilapidated looking? Aren't they going to do something to it? And so on and so forth. So when I questioned the county executive, Dennis Levinson, he said that he could not really, they're not really going to do the repairs, the structural repairs that they feel are necessary, which would cost around $400,000 to $500,000.
Correct.
And so I, you know, since it is such an icon for our community, you know, to see that crumble and go away would not be a very good thing as far as our positive spirit that's been there for, well, since 1937. And thank goodness it's not a singing tower anymore. It's a just there looking good. So I asked about possibility of volunteers helping to restore that facility, and he said that would work beautifully. And so the merchants, Fred Neville, John Kurtz, and myself, said, you know, we're in. You know, we'd like to participate. And I was thinking that I asked Elmer Ripley what he would suggest, and he says, go to Friends of the Park first. And there is a 501c, it's an organization that's already established, and, you know, it has the steps for fundraising and so on and so forth. So we're getting, I feel as though John and probably Fred, they're all, you know, getting, you know, geared up for possibly Friends of the Lighthouse at Lenape Park. And, you know, that is a possibility. So I'll let you know as it goes along. Okay, I think that's it, and I believe the Senior Advisory Committee will be presented next meeting, the ordinance for that.
If we get to see it.
You haven't gotten to see it yet?
Nope.
I thought so.
Sort of a surprise, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, yeah,
Sort of a
yeah,
surprise. Let's
Mike-
just leave it there until it comes up, please. Are you finished?
I think so.
Thank you. Amy?
Okay, let's see. First of all, again, I want to welcome Dorothy, but I think I'm told you go by Dottie, so hopefully we can all call you Dottie. So again, welcome. I know it was your first day, and hopefully you weren't too overwhelmed, but we're very excited to have you here. You know, to echo Rodney's comments about the Cologne barbecue, always a delicious treat. It was enjoyable and well attended. They sold out this year. Their 900 chickens, which is great to see a fire company selling out because you know, they need the support, and I encourage everybody to continually support your local fire departments. The volunteers are our backbone, and we really appreciate all the work that they do. Also want to thank Brownie Squared. Chris Groom at Brownie Squared held his annual beginning of summer barbecue, which is free to the community. He held that on Sunday, and it was extremely well attended. The food was, of course, delicious. Chris never disappoints. And I just think it's such a wonderful thing that he does a beginning summer and end of summer barbecue for free to the community. And it just brings out so many people on Main Street, and it's just nice to see people walking around, having
Very good.
fellowship with each other, you know, meeting some newer people who have moved into town, mixed with those of us who are, I guess, we're the townies, who've been here forever. It's just so nice, and thankfully the weather cooperated for all the barbecues this weekend and for graduation. Last year got
Yes.
the deluge dumped on them.
That was terrible.
So I just want to commend Chris and encourage everybody to continue to support him and all of our small businesses in town, because they too are the backbone of our community events and a lot of the things we're able to do to bring people out and have that unique sense of community that I think is really special in Hamilton Township. I would be remiss if I didn't mention, speaking of Main Street, the Chase Mission Main Street grants that Anytime Fitness is chasing. You can go on Facebook and vote for it daily to give a bump to that, and really working on getting a grant to also do some great things on Main Street through Mike's efforts with his gym. So Mike, thanks for your continued passion, and just encourage everybody to get out there and keep voting on that. It did get a lot of calls. I'm not sure if anybody else did, but Hamilton attempted to hold their first food truck festival on Friday night, I think it was, and I understand it was extremely well attended. I understand for their first time that there were some lessons learned, but I got a lot of calls from people saying, hey, is this something we can do in Mays Landing in Hamilton Township? And for me, as someone who likes to eat, I would absolutely love that. So we're not giving this assignment to you, Arlene. We were actually just kind of bantering about it at the barbecue, and a couple people had expressed interest in just being either a group that steps up, a group of volunteers who step up to put something like that together, or maybe partner with some of our organizations. But anybody who reached out to me, I said, are you willing to serve on a committee? And they all said yes, which is a good thing, because many hands make light work. So
Charlie just volunteered. He said it'd be a great idea to have that on the bulkhead.
oh, yeah, there you go.
Could you briefly mention what it was in a sentence or two?
A food truck festival?
Oh, yes.
It's a line of food trucks. You just walk and eat.
Spud,
each
Okay.
food-
Spud, which
Yeah,
was
we,
interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
they had them out at the Mercado Market when they were at the racetrack. They'd have several food trucks lined
Oh, yeah,
up.
okay,
It
okay.
could be like empanadas or cheesesteaks or,
gotcha.
you know, Asian. I mean, there's all kinds of, it's like the trendy thing now. So, you know, maybe we could try to get something like that going. I did ask for some information for the people who are interested in terms of what they would have to do to get going. So I appreciate Phil, and I think Ingrid replied, Mike, after you reached out, so thank you. Just a couple more things. Mrs. Anderson forwarded all of us the changes to, proposed changes at the Senate bill for the Open Public Meeting Act and the Open Public Records Act. And I'm not sure if any of my colleagues read the changes that are coming, but they are disgraceful. They are piling on bureaucracy unnecessarily, piling on work for our employees, unfunded mandates in terms of things that they would require us to do. It is just a complete drain of resources unnecessarily, in my opinion. So I sent you each an email individually saying that I would like to see this on the next agenda. I hope everybody takes a look at it, and I know Mrs. Anderson's going to put that on the next agenda. I apologize for not being here last week. I was very sick with the flu and did not want to infest any of you guys. That was only my 4th meeting I've missed in 8 years. I really hate missing meetings. So I just want to apologize for that. And in addition to the Oakcrest grads, I want to also congratulate the 8th graders who will be graduating on Wednesday, many of whom were here for our Youth and Government Day, and one special one in my heart, Andrea Seeger, my little cousin, will be graduating and moving on to high school. So it's a big week in our family. And with that, I will shut up.
Got time? No.
Thank you. Interestingly enough, when the county exec was at the Mays Landing Merchants meeting, the key that all of you have to keep in the back of your mind was his appeal to caution everybody about this movement to try to take casinos north.
Yeah.
I think it's more serious than people realize. I think we have to encourage people to get out there and vote. There's talk of a referendum next year, not this year, because they don't think they'll get enough voters out to vote on it this year, judging by what came out in the primary. And if it gets defeated, it's defeated. The scary thing about casinos going north is the commitment that they'll take 50% of their revenues and push them to Atlantic City, but I think we know it that Trenton never lives up to any of its obligations. They don't fund the pension system. They did nothing about the real estate taxes. They privatized the lottery, and the lottery lost money. So I think we've got to give many things a serious issue, and if you're out there talking to your friends, neighbors, and you see what's coming down the pike, please caution them about thinking about the casinos going north. It'll be the end of Atlantic City in many ways because it'll cut the revenues down. It'll destroy any plan that they have for Atlantic City to have a predictable source of revenue because it just isn't there. And I just encourage all of you, and it's nonpartisan. It happens to be a vote against reality or for reality, and understanding that it took them 38 years to destroy the gambling industry here because they never put a penny back into the infrastructure in Atlantic City. And I don't know why we're giving them a second chance, but I do understand it, that there's still some jobs out there that are hinging on it. And much of what we were tonight about incentivizing people to come into our community and take advantage of a pilot could only be enhanced more if more good things happen in Atlantic City. So I think it's a rippling effect, both positively and negatively, and I think we have to take a serious look at what we're all confronting today. I think I mentioned at the beginning of the year when we reorganized that the most serious problem facing all the municipalities today, and everyone can say what they want, to me it's called sustainability. You have to be able to sustain what you have. And, you know, it's nice to look at doing things and spending money on projects. But by the same token, there's a lot more at stake. There's a lot of empty homes. There's a lot of people without jobs. And I think we've got to have concern for that. And, of course, retail, as good as it is, doesn't survive without people with disposable income. So I think when we look at everything, we've got to take this thing and realize how serious things are today. Today, I opened up the paper, it was 14 pages of sheriff's sale. I don't think I hit a Monday in the last 2.5 months where there was less than 14. And from what I understand, you know, we talked about COA earlier with the fact that they're trying to figure out affordable housing. We've got enough housing out there that's vacant that could be utilized for COA. And of course, they don't want to hear it. I think the solicitor mentioned earlier when he talked about the situation with the COA, the courts are handling it today. The courts are so overwhelmed, I don't even know how they're going to be able to handle any of this. And I think, what did we read an article in the paper, Bob, the other day about the shortage of judges and the fact that I'm not sure how the dockets are, how overloaded they are, and what. But, you know, this whole thing with COA is causing a lot of problems to a lot of communities. And a lot of it that we have today, whether it's the big three, Galloway, Egg Harbor, or Hamilton, was brought on by gambling in Atlantic City. So what came first, what came second, the problems are here. And I think we have an opportunity to deal with them as intelligent people who can find a way to get through it in a nonpartisan way and make sure that we understand casinos shouldn't go north. With that, I'll open it up to the public. Anyone in the public wish to speak? Dominic?
First of all, for those who don't know me, my name is Dominic Francesco. First, I want to say mayor, to the committee, to the police chief, and to Mr. Smith. I want to thank you for what you're doing on Pinehurst to start. I have been an advocate for that street for 11 years now, and I've watched it go from nothing on that road to the lines going on the road. To answer your question about those, yes, when those stripes went in, it became a speedway. And I think it's just because in people's mind, they see lines, no stop, and it's a clear-cut 1 mile strip down to Black Horse Pike. And with the fact that we have Underhill exactly 1 mile from my house, they come flying off that turn, they hit that fork, and they're gone. And the stop sign has made a big difference. One thing I can tell you that the stop signs are kind of high, and the shrubbery that's coming in off of the street, off the side where that adjacent to Woods Landing, I believe is, the trees are coming overgrown it, and the people aren't even seeing it. And I can tell you right now, I'm outside all the time with my little 4-year-old, and he's yelling at the people to stop. And the committee, they've seen him. That's how he is. They're flying.
I think
I
Mr.
think
Knoll just made
Brett's
a
writing it
note.
down.
He's writing it
He's
down as
writing
fast
it
as
down.
he
Going
can.
around the stop sign.
And then when you come in from 322 coming towards that way, it's extremely overgrown. But it's a start, and I understand this. I didn't know if there was ways of putting mini ripple strips on the ground, anything that can get these people to stop. I'm even taking the California stop right now because it's better than what we had. And the last thing I wanted to ask was, this is phase 2 of this project. I understand the stop sign was basically the first one. But can I ask the committee why there was not stop signs placed on Berry when that is a stop for school buses? Which, by the way, I will be emailing the school transportation authority on asking them why on a pouring rainy day, kids that lived over on Sweet Gum have to walk all the way to Berry. That's a long walk.
It is a long.
And it's a long walk when you have no sidewalks, people speeding, not stopping. It's a dangerous road. And Pinehurst Drive, there is a ton of homes that have kids. I would say probably 80% to 90% of the homes that are on Pinehurst Drive have little kids. So I was just curious on why there was not stop sign placed. I can understand the one on Colony because the park's right across the street from my house. But Berry, I think, needs to be relooked at, and there needs to be a stop sign placed on that road.
Well, the striping was phase 1. That was supposed to calm the traffic. Phase 2 is going to be the speed tables along Pinehurst Drive to calm the traffic. But the other intersections did not meet the warrant for a stop sign. There's certain guidelines that you have to follow and warrants you have to meet in order for a stop sign to be placed, and the other intersections did not meet the warrant for the stop sign. The reason the one was installed next to the park is because it's within 500 feet of a playground recreation facility. So you cannot use stop signs to control speed. It's just not permitted. So that's why you don't see stop signs at those other intersections.
And especially when you have 2 large gaps on Pinehurst Drive. You've got the one that goes from Colony to Berry. That's a long stretch with no road. People can easily hit Colony, floor it, and go. And then with no stop sign on Berry, after that stop sign, it's a straightaway. And they have nothing to stop. Now, granted, these speed tables now coming in, I would assume they're going to be spaced adequately across that.
Correct.
Because coming off of now 322, which we do get a lot of traffic that way, that's just as bad because you have a long stretch from Redwood all the way to Fur. Long strip, no speeding, tons of kids. You've got about 3 or 4 basketball courts that are in the street, plus you have kids out there playing hockey. So these are this is our future that's trying to play because they have nowhere else to play. And it's dangerous. And I'm not even going to get started on Underhill because that's a whole another project. But the main reason I wanted to talk was I wanted to ask that question about that. And 2, thank you everybody for the hard work. And I know I blow up everybody's emails, but I mean, it's my concern and I have to be that way because unfortunately no one else wants to speak, so I will. So thank you.
You keep us on our toes down there.
Chief, let me ask you a question. Would you have Officer Wade to take another look at Pinehurst,
I will.
Berry, and see what else?
And like Mr. Smith said, when you look at the uniform traffic manual, it's pretty strict about where you can put stop signs. But I think with the speed tables, you're going to start to see a lot of sparks,
Good.
and people are going to catch on quick. They're either going to lose the undercarriage of their car, or they're going to slow down.
How many are there of the speed tables?
I'm not 100% sure. There's a minimum spacing per MUTCD. So we'll place them based on that spacing.
Okay,
Did you
so
tell them what
somebody-
Phase 3 is? A toll booth.
That's all.
Anyone else in the public wish to speak? Thank you, Chief.
Move to close the public portion?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Have a motion?
Move to adjourn?
Second?
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.